dance.
And welcome to Education, Leadership, and Beyond, Surviving and Thriving. My name is Andrew Murata, host of Education, Leadership, and Beyond, and we are live here at Rockland County Community College, here with the leadership class at LIU, and we are joined by the esteemed author and education leader, Jay Billy. Jay is the author here of Lead with Culture. He is an active principal, and he is joining our class here at Rockland County Community College. And part of our learning and our growth here is this book here. And Jay was nice enough to join us. Jay, welcome to the program and welcome to our class.
Thank you. I'm excited to do this. Looking forward to hearing what you guys have to say.
Well, and we're looking forward to hearing from you. It's great to not only read the book, but then to meet you, not necessarily in person, but live here on Facebook. Certainly people watching live can ask questions. My biggest fan is here. My mom is watching everyone. So it's always nice.
Hi, Mom.
We've met before.
Where's Susie?
Yeah, she'll be on. She's your biggest fan. But Jay, I'm going to step out here in a minute and turn it over to the class. But why don't you just tell us briefly about yourself? We know you're in a new school, your second year in a new school, but a brief bio, introduce yourself to the group here as well as our live viewers, and we'll certainly get into the content here of your book. Thanks, Jay.
Okay. So my name is Jay Billy. I'm the proud principal at Ben Franklin Elementary School in Lawrence Township, New Jersey. I'm very lucky we're a pre-K through grade 3 school. For 7 years before last year, I was the proud principal at Slackwood Elementary School. Prior to that, I've done a variety of things. I was principal of a school for elementary students in special education. I was a vice principal at a high school. I started my career coaching wrestling in college. So those are all the things I love to see kids having fun at school and enjoying themselves. And I love to try to make school the best place that we can make it. So that's kind of what I do.
And Jay, there's so many learning points and in this book, and we know it's doing really well out there, and not only in the Twitter world, but also in schools and in leaders' hands. Why don't we start with what was the inspiration for this book and that journey to physically getting it into a book copy? Why don't you share that story?
Well, so I've been doing this for a long time. I've been in education I look good for 36 years in education, I guess, but been doing it for a long time. And I was at Beth Huff, who wrote Lead Like a Pirate with Shelley Burgess. Beth and I were presenting at a conference here in New Jersey. There's a whole backstory to how we met and all those other things. But basically, we decided we put together this discussion on developing school culture. Beth is a distinguished principal, a national distinguished principal, and actually last year she was named Digital Principal of the Year for United States. And so Beth and I were presenting, and she and Shelley had just finished Lead Like a Pirate, which is part of the Dave Burgess Consulting books and pirate series. And we were going back and forth. We had a lot of things. Both of us had lots of really cool ideas that we shared about, doing things in school to make school an amazing place. And so the book kind of came from all the things that either I did or other people have done that create a culture of excitement and amazingness for students and for staff. We go by the philosophy, you want to create a school where students, staff, and families are running in, not out. And so I spent a lot of time, doing that and making school special for our kids. And so we started sharing that at conferences. I started sharing more and more people, and people seemed interested. So from there, just kind of started putting ideas down on paper for the book. Talked to Dave and Shelley at Dave Burgess Consulting, and I said, go for it. So that's where the book came from. So
we love it, and it's been enjoyable for us to read. I'm going to turn it over to some of our leaders here who certainly have some questions and wanted to talk with you. Not sure who wants to jump in first.
That's fine.
Michael, go ahead. Why don't you introduce yourself? And
How's it going, Jay? My name is Michael Fratto. I'm a third-year teacher at East Ramapo Central School District. I teach English to 7th and 8th grade students. So I really loved your book. I can tell just by reading how enthusiastic you are, and I feel like I'm somebody who is like that. I eat lunch with my students. I go outside and I greet them every single day. That's one of my tasks. So I was just wondering, you can tell your passion, but how do you build, or how did you build your foundations in a school, especially now since you're in a new school? How did you build those foundations, and what were your first steps to building your culture in your school?
Well, I think first of all, it's you have to be honest about what you have. If you're starting to build culture, you want to really talk about what school is like. The book was written while I was at Slackwood School, and then I went to Ben Franklin. When I first started at Slackwood School, I had been in the district for 4 years prior to that, and I kind of had a feeling about what I liked and what I didn't like about the school. Again, I'm very passionate about what I believe is good for kids, and so some of the things that I saw going on, I knew that I had to change. So I just kind of was honest about, okay, this is the way I feel when I walk in the school. This is the way others have told me they feel when they walk in the school. And again, moving to a new school now, I mean, I always share the experience, and I shared it with the staff of my new school of how my guidance counselor, who when I was at Slackwood, had gone up to Ben Franklin and shared a story of how she had to do a bullying investigation. It was part of a whole series of things. And when she came back after a couple of days at Ben Franklin, she said to me, little did I know I was going to be the principal there the next year. She said to me, don't ever make me go back there. I just felt yucky, that's the technical term, yucky. So I had heard that. And then when I went to, and found out I was moving to this new school, and started meeting with parents, because everybody wants to know who their kid is and wants you to know who they are too. So you start meeting with parents, and I start hearing stories of teachers, their kids coming home and telling the parents that they heard their teachers talking about other teachers, or talking about the principal in the hallways in a negative way, or ask why we don't have substitutes on a regular basis. And when I talked to personnel, they gave me a list of subs who said they didn't want to go to our school because of the way it was. So those kind of things, kind of told me that we had to change and do things differently. Again, when you come in front of a faculty and you say, hey, this is what people say about you, they deny it, they get defensive, they don't like it, but they hear it. They hear it. And so I think that was the first step, to just really be honest about what I felt was good and what I felt we needed to change as far as the school culture. I want to make everybody feel welcome in our building. It starts when they walk, the moment they walk in the door in the morning, whether it's me or they're greeted by the front office staff, instead of kids coming into school late and people standing there yelling at them. And again, I'm an elementary school, so it's different. Kids don't really come to school late. Parents bring them late.
Yeah.
But instead of saying, oh, you got to try to get to school on time. Come on, you've been late 3 times this week. It's like, welcome to school. We're glad you're here. And just changing the words and changing the way school. We think about school. The second part of moving to the new school, and again, I share this story all the time, and I've shared it with the families, is the narrative that was on social media about the school from the parents had to change. I feel we as leaders in our school, it's our job to tell the stories of our school, and if the story's being told by people from the outside, it's probably not a correct narrative. So very first meeting with the parents, I said to them, okay, tell me what you've heard about me. And a few people said really nice things, and they were excited that I was coming to the new school. And then I went back to let me tell you what I've heard about you. And I shared some of the things that I'd read on social media posts from parents of students in my school, and just said, hey, if we want to be the best school in the state of New Jersey, it starts with how we talk about our school. Okay. It doesn't, talking about school doesn't make it better, but we have those conversations. But when you start blasting that, you're not going to be able to help your school. We cannot be great unless we start talking about ourselves as great. And then, I called some of the parents out. Next time I saw something on a Facebook post, I called them up and I said, hey, what's this? Why don't you just come in and talk to me? And once you do that once or twice, people, they talk to each other and then they stop doing that. I had a mom. I called her house and spoke to her husband, and I said, well, I'm just calling because I saw this and I'm just wondering why, she didn't give me a call about this. And she wasn't home at the time, but that afternoon she came in, brought me gifts because I think her husband scolded her and told her to get in. But again, until you start calling people out for those kind of things, and the second piece is you're not setting a good example for your child. And I explained that, our kids are now fully enmeshed in social media. Even third graders get it. So if we're not setting a good example of how to use it, if we're bullying online, if we're talking negatively about other people, then our kids are going to do that. So I really felt that to start with those conversations of where we are and where I like our school to go. So I went on and on, but hopefully that kind of explains a little bit.
Yeah. That's great. That is really good.
I have a question. I like in the book how you talk about how you change the culture with the parents. And one of the things I found interesting with the teachers is that you you went to your lead teachers and you asked them to kind of share out their best practices with other teachers. Was that challenging to get those teachers to step up and do that in the school?
Well, yeah, and some teachers are not. Surprisingly enough, some teachers like to just go in their rooms and just do their thing, because teachers by nature are humble and really concerned about just what they're doing in the classroom. But you see great things happening, and I want those things to kind of multiply. Just like using social media, it's kind of our obligation for all the kids, not just for my 25 kids in my classroom, to help all the kids, all 400 kids in my school. There are kids, all, 1 million students in the state of New Jersey. Those are my kids. And so that's why I feel that sharing whenever possible is, whether it's via social media or going to conferences or sharing best practices in other places is so important. So some teachers were a little shy, and I put them out of their comfort zones. Some of them I would write it into their professional development plan for the next year. These are some things you do really well. I would love for you to share 15 minutes at a staff meeting. If you do that, and so we would write it in as part of their plan, and they would build themselves up to doing it. One of the best teachers I ever worked with is a special ed teacher, and she's awesome. But she just does her own thing, and nobody, they don't go in her class because she's got the toughest kids in the world. So nobody knew what she's doing. But I put her in front of the staff for 15 minutes, and people were asking for more. Tell us how you do this. Can I come down and watch this? And it really does change the culture, where it's a culture of sharing. Again, it's not bragging, it's sharing. And
right.
And if you can kind of put it in those words, I do that. And again, when I shout out somebody on a Twitter feed or shout out somebody's doing something great, that's like writing a note to them and saying, hey, great job in class. Because I'm not putting crap out on Twitter. I'm putting the real, stuff that I think is good. Good practice. So when you see posts from my school, that's something I think is really cool happening in the classroom or in my school, and I want to share that because maybe somebody else will benefit from it too.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully, yep.
Joanne McDonough, like
Hi,
you,
Joanne.
30 years in education. Here in a supervisor position, just started July.
Oh.
But one of your quotes from your book, I posted it the other day because this guy's getting us into the Twitter world here.
I thought.
I'm not there checking in on them. I'm here to help and be part of the learning experience.
Yeah.
So as much as I posted that 2 days ago, when I walked in the building today, it was like a scurry. They're like, are you here to observe me? I said, no, I'm just here, to be present in the building. I'm in charge of like 5 elementary schools. So I said, I'm just here to be present in the building. And they scurried. They're like, are you coming in to see me? I'm like, no, I'm just here. So, how to change that mindset that we're here to help.
Yeah.
We're not here to critique, and we're here to make your practices better.
Yeah.
So strategies, I like how you said you're not bragging and sharing. I wrote it down. I thought that was a good way. And to put in the professional development plan. So already some good hints that might already be in the book. Maybe I didn't get to it or it just didn't stick out to me. But I like those things. So I appreciate your book and I've used it.
Well, like I said, I think it's when you're in 5 schools, it's so hard to be seen as anything but somebody. Beth Huff, Beth who wrote like so it's like I gotcha, not I gotcha. No, it's like I gotcha as I'm here to help you instead of I'm here to catch you doing something. And for me, I don't want it to be an event when I walk into a classroom, and so I try to get classrooms, all my classrooms, at least once, maybe twice a day, maybe more than that. So when I walk in and out, they just go about their business instead of, like you say, they're looking at you going like, okay, why is he here? Right here. I know that I have teachers who, before I came to the school, probably saw the principal like 3 times a year in their classroom. Well, that changed in the first 3 days 3 times. So that is really the difference. You want to be a president and to be invited in, as a supervisor, to get yourself invited into conversations about teaching and learning. People need to trust you, and they need to trust that you're there to help. And you do that by just being there and helping. Just being there and helping, getting down on your knees and helping a kid with a writing project, or taking the class for 10 minutes while the teacher uses the restroom, or any of those things builds that trust. And trust is really what gets you excited about doing what you do, because then you can be a part of those conversations about teaching and learning, which is going to make our schools and our classrooms better.
Jay, let me piggyback on that. So it's great to celebrate the good things. You put them on Twitter, you're celebrating people, you're building people up. But what about when you see something subpar and you have to make corrective action and there's some defense there? That's not as easy. How do you go about doing that? Because you're trying to change some things in a new school now. How do you go about when it's subpar?
Well, I think I think you look at it a couple ways. Maybe nobody ever told them that that it wasn't that it wasn't really what we hoped for and want in our classrooms. So you have to look at it like at first, like they don't know. So you have to kind of in a kind of way be honest and say, hey, I noticed this. Classroom management, you're struggling with that. And they'll be like, oh, I thought it was fine. I go, yeah, I would like to see you do this and this and this. And then, give them opportunities to do those things. I have numerous times over the last year in my new school, went in to do an observation. It was a scheduled observation and it didn't go so well. And I went and talked to the teacher and I said, I'm not going to count that. Here's some things I want you to work on. I'm going to come back in a couple weeks. Because again, it's a tenured teacher, been teaching for 20 years. What am I going to do? I want it to be better. So I share with those things, and it's a non-threatening way. I had a teacher cry because she really didn't know that it was not that good. And so I shared this and this. We're working on it. I'll come in if you want. I can model, or you can go see somebody. This teacher does this really well, and came back 3 weeks later, and the class was running so much smoother because she just took a couple of the suggestions and kind of turned them around. You're not like, it's a step-by-step progression. And sometimes you have to call it out because I'm not doing my job if I'm not calling it out. But there's a kind way to do it without hurting people, And like I said, the teacher was crying. She goes, I've never had a bad observation. And, I'm a really good teacher and and I said, I can tell how much you love the kids and I love the kids. Here's what I saw. Let's work on this. And and then forgot about it. Like I said, I didn't write it down. I didn't write anything. Gave her some notes as far as things to work on, but it wasn't written in any plan or anything like that. Now, when we met at the end of the year, we didn't forget about it. We talked about it, but the goal is always improvement and better and getting better. And as long as people get that they need to get better, I think you can't beat them up constantly because then you're never going to get anywhere, and you're going to lose some of that culture that you're trying to build.
Katie, do you want to jump?
I have a question. I had a few, but this kind of came up through the conversation. You were just mentioning like tenured teachers, but I'm curious about how you kind of welcome in new teachers and kind of get them acclimated to, some of your expectations and getting them kind of used to the staff and kind of building that up with them.
Well, again, that starts with the interview. It really starts in the interview. I try to, first of all, let them know that I have expectations that they're not going to come and get in line. Todd Whitaker, talks about when you hire someone new, you don't want them to get in line. You want them to create a new line, and so sometimes, like I give, I want, when I interview, I want every person that I interview for one position, I want them all to wish that they can come and work for me in my building. I want them to know that they're going to have autonomy in the classroom, but I'm going to be in there all the time watching them. I want them to know that this is the culture of the classroom I want, and I want them excited to come work. I hired a new teacher this year who had 3 different offers to go somewhere else, and she was literally, we went to interview, and we finished interviewing, and I could tell that she was going to be good. So I called her that afternoon, and I said, because our personnel department doesn't always work so fast, I called and I said, don't you dare take a job anywhere else. I want you to come work here. And she goes, I want to come work there. I'm supposed to go tomorrow and do a demo lesson, and I'm canceling it. And I said, perfect. Come work for us because I want you. So I want them. And then once I hire them, I tell them why I hired them. So we have that second meeting about hey, it's just a couple minutes. Just, hey, you know why I hired you, right? This is what you said at the interview. These are the things that you said you would do. And this is what we talked about. And this is why I hired you. Now, how can I help you get used to the curriculum, the classrooms, the other people? And so that's the beginning of it. The next part is at that very first staff meeting, welcoming them and helping them know the other people. So you do a lot of activity, even though some of them have been there 30 years, they all know each other. That new person needs to become part of that culture. And so you kind of bring them in that way. You do some pretty crazy stuff, especially in the first couple of staff meetings. So they know that this is expected, that risk-taking is expected, that they're going to lead the way, and it's okay to take those chances. At new teacher orientation, I give they put me in charge of. I probably shouldn't do this. They put me in charge of a day of teaching a pirate with all the new teachers, and one of the first things I do is I give them all free pass. So anybody that's hired new, I go through the whole thing about how we expect them to take risks, to try to do things differently, to make a pass that says it's laminated so they can use it more than once. But basically, if anybody comes in to observe you during a lesson and you fail miserably, you can just hand this to them, and that's your free pass. You can go back. Now, it can't be just some crap lesson where you're copying worksheets and having them sit down and go through stuff. It has to be a lesson where you're trying something different and taking chances and risks, because that's an expectation I have at my school, and that's an expectation that my superintendent has, that we are doing school differently. We're trying to create a place where kids are thinking on their own, they're curious and creative and being innovative in our classrooms. So did I answer your question? I hope I did.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would like to know, where do you purchase your silly hats?
Okay, so actually, to be honest with you, so the hat thing, came from a gift. A student gave me a hat. I wore it. wore it the next day. The kid was so excited to see me when he got off the bus with this silly hat on. Then somebody else brings me a hat. Then a parent brings me a hat. So sometimes I'll see them and I'll buy them, and sometimes people will give them to me. Most of the really crazy ones have been given to me. I was in Texas this summer doing an opening for one of the school districts in Bangketi, Texas, and I got the biggest cowboy hat you've ever seen in Texas. So like it's become kind of a thing. I don't actually wear hats ever, except for the kids. Yeah, for the kids. So that's so a lot of them are given to me. But like people know, my daughter, for one of her Christmas presents last year, like 5 hats in a box. So I guess I have that reputation, and so they just kind of come. But it's, like I said, it's funny because if I go out, like if I'm running late and I run out to greet the buses in the morning and I forget to put a hat on, the kids will say something or the bus drivers will say something. They literally drive up sometimes and wait to see what I have on, And, again, I'm a little kids, but I would do that anyway. I would dress silly. I would do things different. Like I said, I work with high school emotionally disturbed kids, and they all need to know that you're just a little crazier than they are. It's really important that all the kids get that, hey, I have kindergartners walking by going, you're crazy. And again, they don't even know what that is in kindergarten, but they all get it. They do get it. And and if anybody's ever looking for a hat, they come to my office because they know where to find them. So.
Jay, we have some class presentations here. So before we sign off, ton of great advice in here. But what would you leave our leaders here, as we sign off here? What would you say the top 2 or 3 pieces of advice that you would give them as they're going to begin their administrative journeys?
Oh, I could talk for hours, But,
well, you got 2 minutes.
I got 2 minutes. So, okay. So, don't let the haters bring you down. Be yourself. Be honest, and try to have fun at what you do. That's what Teaching Like a Pirate. When I read Teach Like a Pirate and then got to see Dave and meet Dave, that's what changed my life. Because I started having more fun at work. I was good at what I did for a long time. I've always been good at it, but now I have fun every day, and my teachers have fun. So don't let haters bring you down. Hey, I'll try not to curse. So people who are C's don't like people who are A's. Gene Musi and I talk about this all the time. People who are C's don't like people who are A's. So they try to bring you back to be a C. Mediocrity loves mediocrity. And it's hard work to be good at what you do. But don't let them bring you down. If you're passionate about what you do, make sure you have fun at it every day. I am the luckiest guy in the world because I get to do what I love to do every single day. And I get to be knee deep in kids, which makes me happy all the time. And now I get to share my story, and that makes me even happier. So don't let those people bring you down. So what I was going to say is Dave gave me some advice. It's actually a Brene Brown quote, so I guess Brene Brown's okay to use. But ignore the haters. You're not a jackass whisperer anyway. Is what. So, but seriously. There are people that are going to talk back. Even parents will think, what the heck is he doing? This is not the right thing. But you know what's right for kids. Do it. Just do it, and then back it up, and back it up every single day.
Jay, you've been so generous to me and my classes here. Lead Like a Pirate. This is Jay Billy here with the leaders from LIU Hudson in Rockland County, New York. Jay, we appreciate it. And thanks for the work you're doing out there in the education.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Have fun. All right. Have a great night.
Jay, thanks, buddy. We appreciate it.